How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting. Welcome back to Fata Morgana, Requiem for Innocence. So, the stage is really getting set here. I'm not sure exactly how much longer it's going to be. Knowing this game, we've still got plenty of time to explore the story. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing some more stuff from Morgana's perspective after a certain point. Like, maybe we're going to get all the way up to when, Jacopo hears about Morgana, and then maybe we're gonna switch over to her perspective, because while we know what happened to her, we don't really get to see anything from her perspective. Not truly. In the events that lead up to the betrayal and her inevitably being imprisoned in this manner, which we're actually seeing the foundation of for being set up right now. It's the church/manor where the saintess is being held. Excuse me. Struggling to keep the place open. And Jacopo's going to reach out and try and form some kind of agreement because he wants to expand across the river. And so this is a good platform for him to do so, whilst, retaining the whims and the happiness of the people, which is his big struggle of constantly feeling like he's under threat and about to be killed. So anyway, yeah. We're going to just jump right in and see where the story carries us this time. So I hope you guys enjoy. Sit back, relax, and brace yourselves. I don't know what to expect today, but I'm sure it'll be great. Anyway. Marie, come here, Sister Marie. Oh, what is it? We picked some flowers for you. Take a look, they're so pretty. Oh, why thank you. They're beautiful. Get it away from me. She actually fell for it. Hey, now. How many times do I have to tell you it's not nice to trick people? You're too much fun to tease, Sister Marie. That's hardly an excuse. It's still wrong. I'm your big sister here. You need to treat me like... Ah, there's a bug on your dress! No way! Oh, where is it? Get it off! Someone get it off me! Just kidding. There's nothing there. Get back here, you little rascal. So, her name's Marie. Not quite what I envisioned of a so-called saintess. She seeks out orphans to take into her care and offers food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, and rest for the weary. And where exactly do the funds come for that? She covers it all herself, supposedly. I highly doubt that she has that kind of money just sitting around. Look at the building. It's practically falling apart. Wait a second. I get it. She makes use of all the church's resources to fund her charity. That's correct, my lord. Is she really so foolish as to not realize that's unsustainable? The locals are quite fond of her, but the same cannot be said for the priests and the other nuns. Her work is causing them great financial stress. I'm not surprised. Shall I summon her? No, don't bother. I've seen more than enough. Yes, my lord. What? You have something to say? No, my lord. I simply find it curious you would want to take the time to come all the way out here when you have far more important work to attend to. Not that I would ever imply your judgment is anything other than impeccable, my lord. So he effectively has a yes man as his assistant now. I just thought this saintess might be someone I knew. Pardon? But I was mistaken. They don't care. They don't call her a saintess because she does God's work. They just call her that because she's damn goody two-shoes. So much for words having actual meaning. Jeez. I see. Lord Berner? It's nothing. I'm heading back now. Yes, sir. Ha! Marie! There's a giant man here! Come on, be polite. Good day, Marie. The kids seem to be doing well. Oh, you have no idea. So well, in fact, that this little hooligan found himself a whole handful of bugs. And goodness, he's about scared me out of my skin. Huh. A little mischief is a good thing. Their smiles wouldn't be half as bright as at any other orphanage. I'm not so sure about that. In any case, here's what I earned this week.
No. I keep telling you that's not necessary.
But you do accept tithes, no?
Yes, but still.
I know it's hardly enough to cover what you need, but please.
No, that's not what I mean. It's your money. You should use it for yourself.
I have nothing to use it on. You'll put it to much better use than I ever could.
All right. Thank you. But try not to work yourself too hard, okay?
I promise.
Goodness, you really do make a lot in a week. I didn't realize carpentry paid so well.
Indeed. I'm fortunate enough to have found good work.
Maybe I'll leave the church and take up carpentry myself. Just kidding.
You kid, but you would do quite well for yourself. You're strong enough to carry me, at least.
That took every last bit of strength I had.
Who is that man? Even with all the foreigners we get here, I've never seen anyone who looks like that. He's a frequent visitor to this church, though he does not appear to come for the charity. An Oriental, perhaps?
Oriental?
My former consul told me of them once. Vagrants from the Far East who supposedly look much like that man.
How curious.
He must be able to fool the nun, but I know darn well no carpenter in the world makes that much in a week. There's something fishy about him. Look into that man. Tell me anything you find out about him.
Yes, Lord Mariner.
Now I'm heading back. Here comes the beast. In addition to the renovations for the church and gathered intel on the Far East man, I made sure to keep an eye out for any unusual rumors or happenings outside the city's borders. Of all the reports I received, the one that caught my attention was word of a witch who lived by a lake. This lakeside witch supposedly had miraculous powers, allowing her to cure any ailment, and the effect was transmitted through her blood. This wasn't the first time I'd heard of the witch. The elderly woman who prepared and sold medicinal herbs, but I hadn't realized she also traded in miracles. It sounded like a bunch of snake oil to me, but she had allegedly cured a deathly ill young girl that started to make quite a name for herself. But on top of that, they also said that sound of the witch's first cry had ended a year-long drought in the village where she was born. This doesn't bode well.
Why not, my lord?
Try using your darn head for once, would you? Two competing denominations forming so close together. Do you not see how this could lead to all sorts of headaches? The objective is to unify people under a single banner, to which I pledge my support and earn their favor. But that all becomes moot if the faith turns toward this witch. The people do love their heroes and miracles, after all. It is quite an attractive proposition, I must say. I'm mocking them, you buffoon. Sorry. My throat's feeling a little sore tonight. So it might mean this is a shorter recording. Just because of that. I'll be drinking as much as I can, but I apologize. Hopefully I'm able to cut out most of the coughing, so I'll share it with you. But yeah, I don't know. Just itchiness in my throat for some reason. Didn't notice it until I started doing this. I beg your pardon. The chance of it growing into something actually worth worrying about are slim, but better to snuff out the flame before it spreads than sit back and hope it burns itself out. Oh man, I don't like this. It sucks because I think I know what's gonna happen. Well, we know what's gonna happen, but like, is it really gonna be Jacopo won't even like suspect who it is until she's brought to him, but then when she's so wounded by the mercenary, the beast, he'll be so mortified he'll refuse to admit who he is. Shall I deliver an order for her to cease operation then? That would be best. Actually, no. I'll deal with this personally. You just keep your mouth shut and do exactly as you ordered. Nothing more, nothing less. Understood. Yes, Lord. To start, summon the man from the church. Uh-oh. A few days later, I was standing face to face with the man in my main audience chamber. He seemed much less personable in person than when I had seen him with the nun. Stone-faced, cold, and faintly smelled of blood. Not that I could actually smell blood, but there was an animalistic air emanating from him. That much I had expected, though. I knew before summoning him that he was anything but a respectable man. I take it you're the Oriental man who's been buzzing around the local churches of late. That would be me, yes. What of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some respect. Apologies. I am not very familiar with the local customs or language. Very well then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here. You're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that. I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have a confirmation. Since then, one slave of Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it that would be you. That's right. You made one heck of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. I don't need any more darn slaves. I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bee. Correct. Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought that would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you've got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what, exactly? Something that's going to make a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Along with the church you're so fond of, and the nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite a name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial trouble for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control and does what she wishes. She'll make it into the bigger church. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps. You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversations that overstay their welcome. Fair enough. Then let us get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood. Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving a whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want from you is to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, then I would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. Well, I'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to the patrons of the church, in exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoners believe beloved Saintess handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up. And in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll make a boon to the city's economy as well. A single witch's freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. Isn't that interesting how he's just like, one person's life is easily worth all of this. So, what'll it be? Will you help? Or will I have to... I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it would seem. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. Ooh, look at that smile. The man's right. You're nothing but a murderer. How deep has the blood seeped into your hands? How many have you killed, claiming their lives necessary sacrifices? And how many more will die for your ambition? Silent spirit. That poor, poor witch, possessed with the power to perform miracles, only to win her attention of the villainous lord. It must be done. I don't have to explain myself to you. It's not like the old hag is long to live anyway. What the heck is villainous about having to have her spend her final days for the greater good of the city? So many lives would be improved at the cost of only one. You keep telling yourself that, boy. But what you're doing is no different than my banquets. You're cut from the same cloth as the man standing before you. And the same cloth as me. Begone, phantom. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. Dang it. That's the first time he showed up with someone else around. At least you behaved yourself today. I'm pretty sure you're the smarter than most people I deal with. And you won't betray me either. Who knows how much longer he'll live, though. Stay. Don't touch it until I say so. Oh, quit pouting at me like that. You're the Lord's dog. Stand tall and proud. Alright, here you are. Drink up. Looks like it's safe. I swear, so much work just to get myself a darn drink of water. When I heard about the Saintess, I thought it might be you, but it was someone else. Never did get around to resuming the search after Odilion's past. There's no one around I can trust with such a sensitive task. Though it's probably for the best I did if I never find you. We can't go back to where we were before. Not that there's much chance you're even still alive. If by some strange chance you are still alive, what would you think of the man I've become? Oh, Jacopo. Several days later than originally planned, the Far Eastern man finally arrived at the mansion. I had arranged to meet with him on the utmost level of the observation tower on the church's grounds. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No. Don't go up there, Jacopo. Oh, not the door. God, I got chills. I hate it. Argana's the best character. This is gonna suck. About time. The man appeared before me, a burlap sack slung over his shoulder. I had ordered to use the sack, afraid he might be foolish enough to actually drag the old woman all the way here. There's your witch. He threw the bag on the ground, causing the woman inside to let out a muffled grunt. Didn't sound like an elderly woman, though. A stench. Tell me, you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood. You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost. Oh my gosh, you should have known. Dang it. I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. He's even farther gone than I imagined. I should have been clearer in my instructions. Though I suppose it doesn't matter much. She's not going to live long either way. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a lot. Quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you? Enough yapping. She is alive, yes. Of course. Fighting back a sigh, I tossed my gaze from the man to the bag. Felt slightly sorry for the woman, but the feeling didn't last long. I had seen too many bloodied, mangled bodies, both dead and alive, to be fazed by one more. Oh boy. He crouched down and untied the bag. And a young girl came tumbling free. Punch in the gut! In the soul! You suck, Jacopo!
Oh, it can't be.
As soon as I saw her, I knew exactly who the girl was. It had been 4 years, but no length of time could wipe away the memory of those patches on her face. Oh, those breathtaking golden eyes. But why? How? What was she doing inside the bag? Why had I ordered her captured? How could I have done that? Morgana. She was pale as death, shaking visibly. Confusion seized me, and a cloud of swirling darkness formed about my eyes. The first thought that came to mind was that I'd gotten the wrong person. I had only ordered him captured because I thought the witch of the lake was an old woman. If I'd known she was a young girl, let alone her, I would have never given the command. But those thoughts led nowhere. I was simply trying to avoid facing reality. Trying to place the blame on anyone but myself. I couldn't take back what had already been done. I couldn't change it. There she was, the girl who had once won my affection, lying in a ball in the corner in cold stone, with an arm missing. It didn't matter how we'd gotten here, or what I had felt about her. There was no fixing what I had done. She looked up at me at the source of the muttering above her. Her eyes were open almost frighteningly wide, and they wandered aimlessly and focused to the point I wasn't sure she was seeing anything at all. I felt a tinge of madness in her.
Is that you?
The words spilled from her lips in a soft that barely reached my ears. Hardly a trace of the beautiful singing voice from the memory remained. It was hoarse, raspy, every sound seeming laced with unfathomably deep pitch black hatred for all existence. You remember me? Would she even be able to recognize me anymore?
How could I ever forget?
Morgana, she remembered me. The days we spent together. What kind of person I had been. The boy who had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. All our friends. Those horrible, unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Horribly unromantic. Her taking shots at me taking shots at her. Did she really remember all the time we'd shared?
How could I ever forget? All the pain, all the humiliation you put me through.
What?
How could I ever forget the blood sabbats that you loved to hold?
What? What was she talking about?
Haven't you had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you. You haven't had your fill of my blood.
I couldn't even begin to process the words I was hearing. They were little more than angry, meaningless shouts crashing into me. What the hell was she saying? Did she think I was someone else? Did she think I was him? That I was bearing her? No, Morgana. That wasn't me. I wasn't the man who caused you so much agony. Look at the girl. You would claim you haven't caused her pain?
You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you, even for a moment.
No, I was the man who rescued you from him, I wanted to shout, but I couldn't gather the strength to form a single word. Only gasps for air came from my lips. It was like I'd been robbed of my voice.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred.
Oh, Morgana. When I finally managed to produce a sound, it was barely more audible than a whisper. In a frenzy, I made to reach out for her when I noticed a pair of narrow eyes glaring at me. I was not aware you knew the witch, Lord.
Huh?
Know her? I don't just know her. She's Morgana. She's the girl I...
This man, the Lord, he destroyed me, mind and body.
No.
She's not wrong. That was another man. You have become that man to her.
I'm not Barrener.
Do you hear yourself, boy? You're the rightful heir to the Barrener name, are you not? That's what you said when you stole the throne from me. This man ruined my life. How will you respond, boy? Will you say it wasn't you? Can you say it wasn't you? How will you convince her? She's clearly not in her right mind. Would she even understand it if you revealed the truth? Can you do that, knowing you won't make it through to her? Will you tell her you're nothing more than a slum rat, a usurper, that you deceived your way into power, that everything you built up over these years was a lie, that you killed your former friends for nothing, that Odilion died for nothing, that you endured betrayal after betrayal for nothing? Do you have the spine to say it, boy? All the sacrifices you've made, all the pain you suffered to make it here, could all come crumbling down the moment you do. What will it be, false lord? Is the girl worth it? Is sharing the truth with this half-dead girl on the brink of madness worth losing everything you worked so hard to accomplish? Make your choice.
What's the matter, Lord?
Yes, I know her. Or I knew her years ago.
I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick.
What do I want to do? Obviously, why, on Earth? This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned. Did I make this choice? Congratulations, boy. Thus concludes your inheritance of the name Lord Barrener.
Oh gosh, it makes so much sense and it sucks so much! 4 years earlier. Yeah, I think this is going to be Morgana's point of view now, huh? It wasn't until I lost everything that I truly understood just how blessed I had been. How much my time with them had allayed my wounded spirit. How hard they'd worked to mold me into an ordinary girl. But that was all gone now. I may not have said as much, but I liked it there. I was quite fond of the tranquility. I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to be happy as much as anyone else. I had long lost track of how far I had walked. My legs were stiff, my knees didn't want to bend anymore. It took all my effort to remain upright. I was certain I would never get back up if I did fall down. I still couldn't wrap my mind around what had happened. It was all so sudden, also horribly senseless. It was so mind-bogglingly horrendous. Part of me refused to believe it was anything more than a bad dream. And that was what kept me walking. Because if I did accept it as reality, I would lose what remained of my will to live. It was supposed to be a party. The girls got together to celebrate my birthday, making food, treats that, while hardly extravagant, were still a significant improvement over what we usually had. Everyone was laughing. Part of me was irritated by the whole affair, as I had never been comfortable in such lively environments. They were celebrating me, my birthday. I keep hitting the microphone. Sorry, I'm just engrossed. I should have been overjoyed. Maybe this was my punishment for being so unappreciative. As soon as I stepped out, bandits raided the brothel. Had I stayed there but a few minutes longer, things likely would have turned out quite differently. Whether for better or worse, I couldn't begin to guess, but at the very least I probably wouldn't be here alone. I could have gone with them to the next life. During the raid, the man grabbed me and I lost consciousness almost immediately after. When I awoke, I was in a foul-smelling carriage. People were packed into carriages like livestock. There were dozens of them, every inch of usable space filled with a body. Looking out across the cramped space, I knew instinctively I was on my way to becoming a slave. Once I had been sold off as a saint, a highly valuable commodity, but this time around I was cheap, expendable labor. I was filled with an overwhelming emptiness as the realization struck. Something resembling sorrow wavered about in the void as well, but that was the sadness from my own predicament. It broke my heart knowing I would never see them again, that everyone I had to thank for all those warm, peaceful days had either been killed or sold off. In time, the sadness swelled forth as tears in my eyes. My whole life had managed to endure without crying, and the first time I did, I shed tears for someone else. The man sitting next to me asked, "Why are you crying?" To which I answered, "I'm sad because I didn't get a chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." But if that had not been the end of the conversation, I wouldn't be here, hobbling down this endless road alone. I wouldn't be covered in so much blood. Sometime after I responded, the man suddenly stood up and murdered the guards and slave traders. At first, the other slaves thought they were saved, and for a moment I believed so too. He was a very curious-looking man. His eyes smaller, narrower than ours, his nose a different shape. I had never seen anyone who looked like him before. All I knew was that he wasn't from around here. The man, wielding a sword stolen from a guard, searched through the slave trader's clothes for the keys to our shackles, which he gave to me and made me free his hands, before proceeding to kill the slaves. I stood aghast as the massacre unfolded before me. Blood pooled at my feet, severed limbs were strewn about the carriage. Bodies piled up haphazardly, many having only had enough time for their eyes to grow wide in shock before being cut down. Men, women, children, everyone equals in the end of his blade. The strange-looking man laughed as he slaughtered the slaves. He laughed and he laughed like he was having the time of his life. And when he was done, he stepped out of the carriage, wandered off, leaving me alone, the sole survivor. Even he didn't know why he didn't go for her. I had witnessed so much death in a short time. Cruel, meaningless violence. It was its victims powerless to resist. And here I stood among bodies left alive. For some inexplicable reason, left alive. The screams, the despair, the pleas, the death, the laughter, all reverberating inside my head. Oh, Father, who art in heaven, please give me your mercy. I cannot take it any more. I pray, free me from this pain. My spirit was about at its breaking point. I was certain I too would sink into the bottomless abyss. If I kept all these emotions inside me much longer, I walked and walked and walked and walked. No food, no water, my exhaustion at its peak, my mind in a complete haze. When, off in the distance, I caught sight of a lake. So thirsty. Water. I began hobbling in the general direction of the lake, not caring that it took me off the main road. Bandits could have assailed me. Wild animals made me their prey. None of that mattered to me anymore. At least then I wouldn't have to walk anymore. But for better or for worse, I made it to the lake unmolested. The water was clear as crystal and seemed to sparkle like one as well. As soon as it was within reach, I dropped to my knees and drank, my thirst seeming insatiable. The blood covering me had dried several days earlier, but its bitter stench lingered. So after a brief glance around my surroundings, I washed myself. The chill of the midwinter lake water and occasional gust of wind pierced me to my very bones. No one in their right mind would bathe in this water, but common sense and the chattering of my teeth didn't stop me. I wanted only to be clean again, and the frigid water felt like it would strip everything away, leaving my body and spirit new and unsullied. Once I was satisfied, I came to a belated realization that a small cottage sat on the lakeside. There's smoke coming from the chimney. Maybe there's someone inside. It could be someone bad, though. Maybe it would be safer to stay away. But who knows when I might find someone else. Excuse me? Is anyone there? Hello? The door's unlocked. Oh, that scared me. It's a loud door. It was so warm inside. The heat from the fire seeped into my chilled flesh, spreading slowly. Almost burst into tears again. Sitting before the fireplace was an old woman. A cauldron hung above the flames, bubbling with a curious colored liquid. Ma'am? The woman merely sat there, her head drooped. Slowly I approached her, half certain of what I would find, and placed my hand on her shoulder. She was dead, and I hardly so much as batted an eye at the sight of yet another corpse. In fact, she looked like she'd passed quite peacefully by comparison. How blessed she was. There was no sign of bandits had been rooting through the cottage. Presumably, she had fallen asleep and passed away naturally while in the midst of concocting something. Looking around the room, I found myself surrounded by countless items I couldn't begin to identify. Plants of all colors hanging from the ceiling to dry. Berries crushed and stored in small glass bottles. Were I to guess, the old woman made her living off herbal medicines. Having gotten a good look around the room, I thought that perhaps I had been guided here. And if my father had led me to this place, he would not frown upon me doing what was necessary to make use of it. So I dragged the old woman's corpse from the cottage and pushed it into the lake. If I didn't take up residence in the cottage, somebody else eventually would. Or would just be left to deteriorate. And I would rather take the opportunity bestowed upon me to have a place to rest my weary soul. By the way, not that you're going to be disposing of bodies any time in the near future, but putting them in a body of water that you would probably consider drinking from, not great idea. It's just not good. I mean, sure, technically will eventually take care of itself as nature intends, but technically burial is a much better application, but I don't know if Morgana would have had the strength to do that, so in lieu of that, lake's okay. But a lake doesn't have very many currents or anything, so it's probably just gonna stick around wherever you put it, unfortunately. When the woman's body sank in the clear lake, a realization struck me. I hadn't crossed myself. A few days after I moved into the cottage, a man came to the door. Apparently, he had been a customer of the woman's, a witch by trade, and he was looking for more medicine. When I spoke to him through the door, he gave a short gasp and said, "Who are you? Where's the witch?" I am her granddaughter. She's not presently home. Huh, never knew the old lady had kids. So where's she gonna be back? Not for some time. Oh, dang. You know much about herbs, girl? What? As long as I can get my medicine, I don't really care who supplies it. You, her, doesn't matter. I'll still pay. One moment, please. My knowledge of herbology was essentially non-existent, but if there was a possibility I could make a living off of it, there was no reason for me not to try. I asked the man to give me as much information about the herbs he had been receiving, color, texture, smell, anything, and rummaged around till I found something that fit the description. The entire exchange occurred through a barely cracked door. The man paid me as promised, and I quickly realized the money wasn't much use to me, as I had no intention of returning to the city. So I told him that in future I would trade for supplies, which he happily agreed to. A few days later, another man called upon the cottage, but unlike the first man, he sounded crude and uncivilized. I didn't want to cut off a potential source of supplies, though, so I handed him the medicine he requested, but when I did, he let out a low snicker and said, "What do you say I look after you, girlie?" He then shoved his hand through the cracked door and grabbed my wrist. "You ain't fooling me. The hag's dead, and it's just you, ain't it? Little girl like you needs someone to look after her. Make sure no bad men threaten you." Every word that came from his mouth oozed with sleaze. I knew what would happen if we got the door open. "Let go!" "What?" I yanked my arm back with all my strength and slammed the door shut and slid the bar. But even that wasn't enough to quell my uneasiness, so I put a chair against it as well. The man pounded on the door, each slam of his fist causing the whole room to vibrate. "Overacting much, huh, girlie? Come on, open up. I still ain't paid you yet. Brought something real nice, too. Open up. I want you to have it." I don't need your payment. I'm never doing business with you again, so please get off my property." "I want to say that again.
You got a lot of nerve, eh, you little bee? Open the door! You don't want to know what'll happen if you don't. You got more for sale than just a bag of leaves, don't you? Open the effing door! Just stay quiet, Morgana. The best way to handle people like him is just to not respond. Good for nothing, you. One day you'll learn your lesson. The world will eat a little girl like you right up. After giving the door one final parting kick, the man stormed off loudly, grumbling about how stupid and ungrateful I was all the while. Didn't deserve a word of his cursing. But at the same time, I couldn't bring myself to be upset about it. He was right. The world was not kind to a young girl living on her own. Not so long as men like him roamed free. I paced before the fireplace, my mind racing. I can't be sure I'm safe anywhere, not even here. But going back to the city isn't an option. Not while that lord lives to keep throwing his blood sabbats. Everyone who might have protected me is gone. I have to make it on my own now. I'll have to be very careful about opening the door. I could be attacked again, or worse. I mean, most men would probably run as soon as they saw my face. But most doesn't mean all. There are some out there who will go after anyone. I can't let my guard down while I'm doing business, not even for a second. Man or woman, even everyone is a potential threat. I'll make it on my own. I don't need anyone else. Me and only me. Being out here really has shown me just how sheltered I was at the brothel. How kind everyone was. How peaceful my life was. I just want to go back. No, stop it, Morgana. You're stronger than that. I put enough wood on the fire for it to last the whole night, then curled up in a ball and slept beside it. For the first time in my life, solitude frightened me. Morgana. What, were you planning to sleep all day? Come on. Oh, this is Jacopo, right? Come on, you're not Jaren. Huh? About time. Good morning. Well, little remains anyway. What's with that look? Still waking up? What are you doing here? Excuse me, why would I not be here? That doesn't answer my question. How did you even... A little bird told me where to find you. Oh gosh, this sucks! So you survived? Do I look dead to you? No, but still I thought you were killed during the raid. I may not be good with a sword as someone, but you know I'm no pushover. I wasn't gonna let a bunch of bandits get the best of me. What, were you worried? Seriously? In here I thought all you knew what to do was damn me to the fires of hell. Was I worried? Of course I was, you obvious dolt! I never actually meant it when I said you should be cast into hell. Of course I wanted to see you alive. Of course. It would hurt me to lose you. I'm sorry. That was callous of me. I was afraid I would never see you again. I thought I'd lost everything. Everyone. I was scared to death. Whoa. No need to cry. You're tougher than that. I am not crying. If you say so. And what do you mean? I'm tougher than that. What do you think I am, made of stone? First you try to pretend I'm a normal girl, and now you act like I'm some kind of heartless creature. Make up your mind already. I'm sorry, really. You're a perfectly ordinary girl, Morgana. Can you say that looking at my face? I'm looking at it right now. Even though I'm a mean-spirited, bitter little girl? Even though you're a mean-spirited, bitter little girl. Though it's nice you acknowledge it. I'll burn in hell. Say, I want to ask you something, and I want you not to call me weird for it this time. Let's hear it. Will you stay with me? I don't want to be alone anymore. It terrifies me. Yeah, absolutely. I'll stay right here forever. You know you won't be able to accomplish your dream out here, right? And you're fine with that?
You bet. You told me to stay, and stay I will. We'll live on a lake. There's some mountains nearby. All things considered, not a bad location. We can plant some crops, go fishing in the lake, sprawl in the grass under a starry sky. Sounds like a pretty good life to me. And maybe sometime we could sing a little song. And I'll sit there listening quietly. Or if you want some accompaniment, I could produce some instruments. That sounds like does that sound as nice to you as it does to me? Nothing? Seriously? What else could you want? How about...
No. That's more than enough. Yes. If I could have a life like that, it will have made every misfortune in my life worth suffering.
Oh, it hurts! Dang it!
He's not here. It was a dream. What else could it have been? He's dead, just like everyone else. They all died in that raid. And even if he was alive, he wouldn't come looking for me. What a childish dream. Fight it, Morgana. You cannot cry over a simple dream. You are the daughter of God. Your tears are only to be shed for others, not yourself.
Oh, cry, Morgana. Cry your heart out. Cry your heart out. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. I pounded my fist on the floor again and again and again, sobbing like a petulant child. I had never cried like this before. Not as I witnessed men, women, and children being slaughtered. Not when I was taken from my home. Not when I was chained up and tortured by the Lord. It wasn't until I realized just how much I needed that warmth. And that I would never have it again. That my spirit hit rock bottom. Finding and then losing happiness hurt worse than anything else.
I wish I'd never known happiness. I wish no one had ever shown me kindness. Not if it means I have to go through this. I wish I'd never known what it was like to be normal. I could have just stayed the daughter of God my whole life. Then I wouldn't be feeling like this. I never knew crying like that was so exhausting. And I never want to experience it again. I want to go back to who I used to be. A saint. If I didn't know happiness, I wouldn't have felt like this. I just have to forget it all. That part of my life never happened. No peace, no rest, only trials from my father. That's all I've ever known. It's not hard. Just don't think about those years. Then you won't have to cry like this ever again. It's for the best. It's my only choice. See? I was always right. I never was and never will be normal. The only ones who offer me salvation are God or one of his angels.
So I did precisely that, led a solitary life, until all my business hidden behind a cottage door, and I sent away anyone who wasn't here for medicine. Once a mounted man in armor rode up to the cottage. He looked like a knight, but I had no interest in getting involved with anyone who went around carrying weapons. I was responsible for my own safety, so I had to be careful about who I opened my door to. I had to be extra careful about who I dealt with. But I didn't feel sad or lonely about it. By mistaking that my normal, there was nothing to lament, which meant old memories served no purpose but to cause me pain. So I endeavored to push them far, far away into the depths of my mind. I couldn't simply discard my memories of what the Lord had done to me, of course, or what the wonderful people I'd met at the brothel. But as time trekked on, they faded into almost nothing. I couldn't describe what any one person's voice sounded like, how they acted around me, what kind of person they were. The things we did together, what they looked like, what their names were, anything of importance. I knew good and well it was callous for me to forget about all the people who had shown me so much kindness and warmth. But I would never see them again, and thinking about them only brought me pain, so there was no point in remembering. It was all I could do to make it by. Oh. Gosh darn it. Oh, we know of this. We know all of it, but it sucks. It just sucks so much. Gosh darn it. Can't you just be happy, please? Not in this story. So we'll continue Morgana's story soon. She meets... I remember Nellie, but I can't remember her brother's name. Neil? No, it's not Neil. It starts with an N though, I think, right? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear it soon. Then she finally learns to trust somebody new, and it's exactly when she gets betrayed. Gosh darn it. We're just catapulting to the end, aren't we? So we'll have to save the start of this part of the story for next time. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If I'm honest, I'm severely depressed right now. I need to go lay down, take a break, but it's still a good story. Even when it makes you feel sad, stories like this are worth it. If anything, just to help remind us of the good things, you know? So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you aren't too sad by the sad things that we've been talking about. There wasn't a whole lot of commentary I could give. It's just depression. Like liquid depression being poured out on my face. Anyway, thank you guys for attending with me. Thank you to the patrons who help make this content so much more accessible and possible. And thank you for just all the wonderful interaction, for the voting for Democracy Week, and helping me like shape what the channel is going to do in the future. For those who took the time to watch this all the way through, for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. It means the world. It makes a big difference for me. Not just in my personal life, but in YouTube's eyes too, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and you look forward to next week and other videos I'm coming out with, now 5 days a week. So until next video watching me, or see me next. I'll see you there.